Today we're going to talk about sentences. Sentences need to have certain things that make them a sentence. So today we're going to do sentence must-haves. These are going to be things that your sentence must have in order to be a sentence. So the first thing your sentence must have to be a sentence is a capital letter. Every sentence starts with a capital. So let's take a look. So I have a sentence here. A fish swims. Okay. If you notice, the first letter starts with a capital. And let me just go over that. I'll go over that in red. So this is my first letter of the sentence, and it must be a capital letter. A capital letter means it's the big version of your letter. So here's the capital A. Okay. Remember, that's a capital A. If you had a lowercase a, it would look like this. Okay, the difference between a capital and a lowercase. We don't want the lowercase letter. We want to start with a capital. First letter of every sentence has a capital. Now notice, I don't have capitals in the middle of my sentence. Okay, it's just the sentence starts with a capital. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about that a sentence must have, is spaces. Okay, every sentence must have spaces between the words. In first grade, we call them finger spaces. Okay, and we use our finger to separate the words. So I'm going to have you take a look at this sentence. I don't know. Do you see spaces in there? No, there's no spaces. This is really hard to read. Okay, it was even hard writing with not putting spaces in. You need those spaces to show the separation of the words. Right now, this looks like one gigantic word and it's very hard to read. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite that sentence showing you how I would use my finger to space my words. So I'm going to start off with my first word, the. Notice I have the capital T, H-E, the. Now I want a space before I write the word cat, because I'm writing the cat is big. Here's my finger. Now I can start with the letter C. I can move my finger. See how there's a space in between my words? Okay. T. The cat. Well, here comes my next word. Finger space. Is. Okay. Cat is, and my last word, big, finger space. Once I get that B in there for big, right, I can move my finger because now I have that space between my word. I, and then I'm going to move this down a little. G. Okay, the cat is big, period. All right. So far we know sentences must have capital letters. They start with a capital, and then there must be spaces between my words. Okay, the next thing that a sentence must have is an end mark. Now, if you notice, I've put my end mark in each time I wrote the sentence. I might not have pointed that out very well, but I do have an end mark in. So we're going to take a look at the sentence. And we call it an end mark, or sometimes you'll hear punctuation. We don't say every sentence has to end with a period because sentences don't always end with a period. We'll learn more about that in the coming weeks. Sometimes you'll have a question mark or an exclamation point, and we'll go over the uses of those. Now, for what we're doing right now, period is what we're using. And I'll be honest with you, in first grade, most of what we write does have a period at the end. Period is the one that is the end mark that is used the most in our writing. All right, so I put end mark right here. So I pre-wrote the sentence, I love pizza, but I'm missing something. I didn't put my end mark in. Let me get my green marker. So I'm going to put a period at the end because that's the end mark that I need for this sentence, okay? So I love pizza, period. That lets your reader know it's time to stop and take a breath before they go on to the next sentence, Okay? If we forget our periods, then it becomes just one big long sentence that really isn't a sentence. Okay? So after we think our one thought, we write it down and we put our period in. Okay? Try to think of it as like would be the place that you would take a breath or the place where you're thinking of something else. Okay? I love pizza. Period. That's the end of my thought. Okay, now we have our last sentence must have. Your sentence must make sense. Boys and girls, if your sentence does not make sense, it is not a sentence. A sentence must make sense. I could say, the cat. That's not a sentence. It's an animal, but not a sentence. I have to tell you about the cat, what the cat's doing, what the cat looks like to make it a sentence. Okay, so our sentences must make sense. Let me put that up here, and I have a sentence to show you. Okay. So I have ball fast. Is that a sentence? Ball fast. I said that to you. Does it make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. That is not a sentence. It doesn't tell you anything. I'm just going to cross that off. I've got to think, what could I tell you about the ball? How could I put that in a sentence? The ball rolled fast. Does that make sense? The ball rolled fast. Yeah, I'm telling you a complete thought. It makes sense. Okay, and here's my sentence. The ball rolled fast, period. Make sense? Yes. Okay, so these are our sentence must-haves. Our sentence must have a capital letter. We'll start with a capital. Our sentences must have spaces. You know spaces? Spaces between our words. We can use our finger. Our sentences must have an end mark. Okay, we can use exclamation points, periods, question marks, depending on what type of sentence we're writing. Remember, most of the time it's a period. And our sentences must make sense. If it doesn't make sense, it's not a sentence. Okay, so those are things that you need to think about as you're writing your sentences. Now, I'd love for you to take a piece of paper and try to write your own sentence. So have a go at this and see how your sentences turn out.